People look at stories through different lenses. I have my own take on some of these trending issues. Hi, I'm Mariah Ramharack and welcome to In Case You Missed It.
Hello, hope you're doing well. I'm Mariah Ramharack and welcome to another episode of In Case You Missed It on SportsMax and Scene TV. Now the Reggae Boyz are gearing up for their CONCACAF Nations League A quarterfinals matchup with Canada in November. The first leg will take place at the National Stadium on Friday, November 17, with the second leg set for Tuesday, November 21 at the BMO Field in Toronto. Well, an aggregate victory in the quarterfinals means the boys would advance to the Nations League final next March, but also automatically for next summer's Copa America in the United States, where they could come up against the likes of Argentina, Brazil, and Uruguay. As such, I found it fitting to chat with Reggae Boyz assistant coach, John Wall. John, how are you doing? Welcome to In Case You Missed It.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
All right, so you've been with the Reggae Boyz since September 2022. How has that experience been?
Great. First of all, the country, obviously, but also obviously the technical part of the job, but also seeing the willingness to grow, and the potential is massive.
Yeah, and you know the question, why Jamaica? Tell me a bit about your background in football and most importantly, why did you decide to apply your trade in Jamaica?
Well, it's not always you can pick the job in the line of job that I have, but I've been to Jamaica before, met coaches, sort of educated them a bit from my perspective. And gladly, a couple of years later, they picked up the phone and called and asked if I was interested, and obviously I was. Background-wise, I've worked in at a Finnish national team and mostly on a senior level in Sweden.
Yes, and I remember reading an interview that you did for a Jamaican paper, and they asked you about the task ahead with the Reggae Boyz, and you described it as an ambitious project. Do you still feel the same?
Still is. I mean, it's not just a finite perspective on things, just winning games, but it's also the infinite mindset we want to approach this with. So we still feel it's a massive project and more things are coming our way, and there's still a lot of work to be done.
And are you based in Jamaica now, or do you move between Sweden and Jamaica?
I still got my family in Sweden, so I'm going ping-ponging back and forth.
Ooh,
so the flight miles are racking up.
Yeah, that must be a bit difficult. But can you say something in Swedish for my viewers and I? We're always interested in the language of different countries.
Jag är väldigt tacksam för att vara här på SportsMax och få bli intervjuad av dig.
Okay, what did you say? That sounded really nice.
I'm very grateful to be part of SportsMax and especially being interviewed by you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Well, the Reggae Boyz, serious business now. They have their CONCACAF Nations League A quarterfinals matchup with Canada in November. How are preparations coming along?
Obviously, a lot of video footage, tracking our own players, obviously, but also tweaking on how we should approach them. Obviously, we got our foundation. We feel that we are at that spot right now, but there's still things and adaptations to do. Canada obviously qualified for the World Cup Qatar and have improved massively over the years. So it's going to be an interesting opponent.
Yes, and the first leg will take place at the National Stadium in Jamaica on November 17. And as I said, the second leg, it's on November 21 at the BMO Field in Toronto. How important is it that the boys get the win at home?
think you still have to count the 180 minutes. Instead of just going for that first initial kill, I think just like any type of games, there are double headers. You have to have that perspective. Even if you would win, we would win. You have to have that mindset that it's not done yet. The work still, you got the 90 plus minutes to go. So overall, keeping our cool and looking at the bigger perspective.
Yeah, and you know, Jamaican football fans, they're very, very passionate. They'll be hoping for 2 wins. However, a defeat would mean the Reggae Boyz would have to go into a play-in tournament next March with 3 other losing quarterfinalists, where they would have to vie for the final 2 spots for the CONMEBOL showpiece. What do you think about the format of the competition?
Well, it's always better if you're in part of the top 4, right? And our job and our drive is to become part of that get our seat at the table. We can only do what we deservedly been. A little bit of a strange format in the group stages, I might add. But yet again, I'm an outsider coming in, so what do I know?
So John, Jamaica's football has kept you extremely busy. You're also the head coach of the under-20s. How much are you enjoying that role?
I think overall to be involved in just instead of being in an isolated role as an assistant, I think it's a pure joy of seeing players that can actually overcome hurdles. And the fact that I'm trying to do a different type of approach with the U20s since how it's been in the past.
But
so far it's been enjoyable.
Yeah, but how are you able to balance being assistant coach of the senior Reggae Boyz and do your duties of head coach of the under-20s? It must be a lot of work, and even being between Sweden and Jamaica.
Correct. But it's a global game. I mean, based on Jamaica has such a huge diaspora, connecting to the European market is really important, as well as the US. But I'm also the head of talent ID. I'm actually carrying 3 roles at the same time. But I like to work, and the fact that having a hybrid type of work can actually give me a lot of time for reflection.
Yes, and the under-20s, as I spoke about them, they commence their qualifiers in February 2024. That will be in St. Kitts and Nevis. Tell me a bit about this group of under-20s that you've been tasked to work with.
Well, so far domestically, I've been working with the players every month since March, trying to provide a kind of a foundation on how we want things to be. So right now, it's going to heat up the closer you get, but I think about doing it more consistently and less of a sprint might actually benefit this team a lot.
Yeah, and is there any player or players in particular that we should pay close attention to, seeing that you have the eyes to spot the talent?
I think it's more of a team effort, both in Jamaica, US, and the UK, because it's a hybrid of all things. I think it's more of a team effort and more of a systematic approach than I have some special gift and an eye for talent. I more believe in the actual work being done on a consistent basis.
All right, well, speaking about work, the under-20s will rub shoulders with the likes of Bermuda, Grenada and Martinique in Group F. Which team do you think will be your toughest opponent?
I think all of them have the potential. It's kind of a gray area because Grenada can obviously naturalize a lot of players from the UK, potentially, as well as Martinique. Unsure about Bermuda, but I always try to take more of a humble approach on unknown opponents where I still have to do my due diligence and research before I say anything. But there's a lot of work to be done on that department.
Yeah, and speaking about work, how important are these qualifiers as you look at the next generation of Jamaican footballers? Because we have to think about the future of Jamaican football and the football as a whole, right?
Correct. The more exposure into international football, the better it is, obviously. But I think the roots are and the foundation has to come a lot earlier than we're looking at U20s. There are practically men. And if you compare a global perspective, is that if France, for instance, or Spain or England, you're looking at players who are playing regularly in the first team in Europe. And I rather compare myself to that, and that's where we have a long way to go.
Yeah, and I know recently your team has instituted a couple short camps. It's been taking place since March of this year. How important are camps like these?
It's almost looking at yourself and you're learning, really. How often do you need to do something before it becomes a habit? I know that the most important environment is the club environment, and the obvious lack of time on a senior level sometimes, and even getting in, even though I think GPL has been pretty good at it, but it's still not up to par where we obviously want our players to be. But yet again, how can we, I want seeing Jamaica to actually educate and develop players that are fit for Champions League level.
Yeah, we're thinking about the best in the business, the biggest competition ever. Coach, how proud are you of how the senior Reggae Boyz team has been able to incorporate some of these young players into that setup? For example, I'm talking about DeJohn Whisper Richards. What are your thoughts, on how the transition has been from the under-20 program into the senior setup?
It's not just down to me, but I would say credit to obviously the head coach, Hamer. He's fearless in that department. And it's more about opening up and showing there's a pathway. And when the opportunity arises, don't go the easy way and actually want to involve. And I think with DeJohn, Dexter Lambakis and Karoy and many others, just to mention a few, I'm really happy. But it's going to be a constant process of nurturing and feeding them in and eventually becoming starters. That's where they are right now. But you can evidently see the potential.
Yes, and one of the things I believe in is a good schoolboy football program. And it should even stem back from junior days, not even when you become a schoolboy, from a kid. What are your thoughts, though, on Jamaica's schoolboy football program?
It's an elephant and a huge tradition, but globally and comparing is that it's at best probably 3.5 months of competitive football, whereas on a global level it's 10.5 months. So for me, it's more about what we can do around it and comparing the level. Yeah, I would say, and it's on a lower level globally than a regular 17, 18, 19 or 16, 15s go through. So, but I really respect for who I am coming into something and how we can build around it to create better environments and where we can challenge players a little bit more so they can actually become elite players. A schoolboy football, a schoolgirl, what matters for me is still that the student is number one, the athlete is number two.
Yes.
So, and whereas in Europe, the player is number one.
Yeah, very, very different culturally. Now, with your heavy football resume, do you think the youngsters in Jamaica are playing enough football?
No, they're not. They're probably, just looking at facts, they're probably missing 1,500 to 2,000 international minutes or of a professional environment every year. Plus, they're probably missing out on 15 to 20 league games per year. So it's a deficit that's always pretty hard to make up for. So right now, it's a very Darwinistic environment instead of a fostering and a nurturing environment.
So, John, this question, how has the support been from the Jamaica Football Federation?
We feel that they're working with us and we want to work with them. And it's a growing relationship for us. It's a constant dialogue on how We want to improve, and well, Rome was never built on one day. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Are there any specific areas you'd like to see the JFF do more?
I think we're pretty open and healthy in our relationship with them. So, and since I'm employed by JFF, thus I am JFF. So for me, it's more about actually taking responsibility for everything that I can take responsibility for, and actually look at myself in the mirror first.
Okay, good answer. Well, Jamaica's football as a brand, can more be done to monetize and push the football culture here?
Of course, I think Jamaica for me is a very powerful, sorry to say a brand, but in the lack of better word, it is. Immense in how it's affected popular culture across the globe, being such a small island in a way too, and always punching above its weight. And I feel that more can be done, and I think by being open and inviting people into the journey, I think more can be done on that perspective. Yeah, but I'm really thankful for Adidas, what they've done for us so far.
And when you decide to leave Jamaica's football, whenever that is, what do you hope to achieve?
Left a lot of pieces, seeds, that I might not even see the light of the day of, and that will grow and overarch anything that I could have done on my own, that the Jamaican people will treat it as its own. So it's theirs to have and dispose and use whatever they feel, but it's going to propel beyond what I've probably imagined myself.
Right. Well, John, it's now time for the most exciting part of today's interview. It's what we call rapid fire time. So I'll ask you a question and you say the first word or phrase that comes to mind. Ready?
Yes.
Okay. Favorite thing about Jamaica?
Beaches and the heat.
What do you miss about Sweden when you're not there?
Sometimes the food and the family.
Which team do you support in the English Premier League?
Liverpool.
Do you have a La Liga team?
Absolutely. Atletico de Madrid.
Oh my, you're saying all the teams that I don't like. Which was the first team that you coached?
A smaller team with my younger brother in it, and he quit playing football. That's how good I was.
Oh, wow. If you weren't a coach, what would you be?
I'll probably take a step to music or movies. That's probably where I'm at.
Wow, like a producer?
Producer or director, yeah. I think that would be something.
Really nice. Now, if you had to describe John Wall in one word, what would it be?
That's hard. Crazy in a positive way.
One word. Crazy.
One word. Different. Different.
Different. All right. The best part about being a coach?
When players develop beyond what they even imagine themselves and teams do.
All right. What's been the most memorable advice that you've received?
What you give away is yours forever.
I like that. What would be your advice now to young players?
Trying to follow your own way, even if you don't know what the way is. Don't follow the crowd.
Yeah, that's a good one, Coach. Well, before you go, let's head across to social media to see what's been happening. So, from the official JFF page, they're saying Reggae Boyz head coach Jaime Hallgrimsson invites the 12th man to come out and support the boys in the CONCACAF Nations League in November. What do you say to that, Coach?
think he got it wrong because the audience and the fans are always number one.
Oh. So they're not the 12th man?
They're number one.
All right. Well, that's a good way to look at it. And I think the fans will absolutely love that response. So the next tweet, it's coming from CBS Sports Golazo. They have said, DeAndre Gray has been in amazing form for Jamaica. The Al Ettifaq winner added to his impressive tally in a 3-2 win over Haiti, scoring his 5th goal in 9 appearances for the Reggae Boyz. How impressed are you with DeAndre Gray?
Of course, I'm really happy about his numbers in both in goals and assists, but I think the persona and who he is more impressive, and I think he can still grow and can become even more dominant, according to my perspective.
All right, John. Well, I want to thank you. It has been a pleasure chatting with you on In Case You Missed It. I'm thanking you for all your time and wishing you all the best.
Hey, same goes for you, and thanks everyone.
All right, well, folks, that's it from us for today. Be sure to like, share, and comment, and let me know, will you be supporting the Reggae Boyz in November? Goodbye for now.